Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to PWR Today, Monday morning, Labor Day, September 7th, 2020. I'm the man they call Meathead, joined as always every Monday morning, even if it's Labor Day. But there's no laboring when you're talking to her. It's Linda Kay. Good morning, Linda.
Good morning, Meathead. Happy Labor Day. I mean, it is a holiday, so happy Labor
It's a
Day.
holiday. I celebrate a lot of them. This is one that I celebrate with all of the rest of Americans, which is, we work hard, and we need a day off. Basically, you get half price meat, and you go out and burn it on your grill.
Absolutely. Perfect weather still here in the Wisconsin.
Yep. I mean, even though there was some sort of, I'm trying not to jinx it either. There was some sort of news report that said there's a cold front and there might be snow in September somewhere on the map. So.
I'll wait till that actually happens. I'm going to keep thinking positive and thinking great weather.
I'm with that. All right. So let's start off. We got to talk AEW. We got to talk All Out. I guess we'll go chronological. Okay. Let's go back real quick and touch on two topics really in SmackDown. One, Sasha and Bayley, that thing is a go now. They are at each other, and it's Bayley's attack on Sasha after losing the rematch for the WWE's Women's SmackDown or Women's Tag Team Championships. Bayley snapped on Sasha, and Sasha now becomes kind of a face, technically, because of the beatdown that Bayley put on Sasha. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that was quite a shocker. We all knew this day would come, but we really didn't know. Yeah, we really didn't know who would be the one turning on who. But wow, Bayley really laid it on her. We discussed how much WWE has been using chairs to really make their points, and we saw that again with putting Sasha's neck in there and her jumping off the ropes and stomping on the leg of the chair. Wow. Yeah.
So that's on. Sasha looked pretty beat up. There was one other injury, and this we'll get to in a second after we're done talking about the other thing that happened on SmackDown. Big E put through a windshield. Jey Uso put into the main event a four-way match to find out who the number one contender would be and face Roman Reigns at the pay-per-view. Oh my God, It's Jey Uso taking on Roman Reigns. I did not see this coming. I mean, it's cool that it's happening because this is a watermark moment for Jey Uso and the Uso family. Yes, we know why he's in there because Roman's back and he wants to wrestle somebody that's family. Cool, got it. Yes, this is a time now for him to show up and show out. He's not going to win the belt. He shouldn't win the belt. However, this is a time for him to show up and look like a main event player in a title match and make the office say, "Wow." All right, we can use Jey Uso. This is the time. Linda, that means you've got a man in a title match at Night of Champions.
Yes. With Jey Uso being put in, I was surprised to see him replace my Biggie, who I love and adore the New Day, which, they were on team a long time. So I was very sad to see, yes, I was very sad to see him get injured, through that windshield, but surprised to see Jey Uso in there and then him coming with that win at the end. I did like that sequence. The finish to that fatal four-way match for the chance at the title was great. But, this is exciting. It's great to see what Jey Uso can do as a singles competitor. I was really excited to see what Big E could do. I mean, we know he's got his, previous singles run, but just like now I wanted to see what would happen. And obviously they've pushed that aside, with his injury, and now we get to see Jey Uso. But yeah, interesting to see, what will come out in that match with Roman Reigns at Clash of Champions. I do agree he's not gonna, get the title that night, but interesting to see what moves forward within the family.
Right. So, like I said, I mean, I can literally put myself. So last year at Blizzard Brawl, I ended up sitting at the table with Kishi and Godfather, and we just sat at the table, a couple of us. I mean, honestly, for an hour, just eating and telling stories. But I can literally see myself talking to Kishi going, dude, this is the time. It's time for Jey to show up and show out. Like I said, we know that he might not be winning this belt, but this is the time for him to show the office that he is a main event player. They've been tag teams ever since. He has got a golden opportunity coming up at Clash of Champions.
A time to shine, indeed.
It is. So the reason why we did it and talked about it in this kind of chronological order is because now Big E was not in this match, right?
Yeah.
A text message sequence between Linda and myself on the day of All Out said, "Hey, how are you feeling about the New Day now the Big E's out? I would be happy to trade for the New Day, and I plan to drop them because I want to make a pickup for AEW." She goes, well, what if I were to do that? I said, you're absolutely free to do that. I'm telling you what I would do. I'm not going to tell you who I would pick up, but you are free to do that. The response back is from Linda, you know what? Drop the New Day. I hate it, but I want Orange Cassidy. So right before the deadline, right before the buy-in started, Linda Kay drops the New Day, loses 25 points of the PWR Fantasy Draft, and picks up Orange Cassidy. Linda, tell everybody how you were feeling at that moment. It sounded like you felt I might have bum rushed you out a little bit, but I kind of laid it out for you and what I would be doing. I just wasn't going to tell you who I was grabbing.
Right. Well, to be frank, I am still learning the ins and outs of how we run our fantasy draft. So I gotta say, first of all, thank you for getting the wheels rolling and the wheels turning in me, because with Big E being out, I was thinking of, like, is he really going to be out long? I was contemplating what I should do, but with the All Out pay-per-view about to start, I'm like, I got to make a move. I mean, I've been in, as you said, quote, dead last.
You're saying those are my words?
I did the air quotations too, by the way. So I was like, I got to make a move. You got to make a move, make some type of gain in any type of draft. So who's the hottest thing right now in AEW? Who is in a specialty match? Who has a really great chance at not just winning that specialty match, but carrying on the hype right now? And first person that came to mind, Orange Cassidy. So very, very glad I made that choice. We'll get into that once we start talking about All Out. But it was a little last second change decision. I'm like, I'm in.
Yep. And I do not feel bad at all because, again, you were dead last and I have no problem shaking things up a little bit. So if you weren't going to do it, I was going to do it. And maybe the confidence of me saying I was going to do it kind of shook you a little bit and said, you know what, I'll do it. Okay, cool. Let's go. So Linda Kay drops the New Day and picks up Orange Cassidy. Now let us talk about AEW. It's their big show. It's the big one. Nobody in the PWR Fantasy Draft had anybody from the buy-ins, but here was the show, and there was a little change-up. I thought Britt Baker and Swole were going to be in the buy-in. They got pushed up to the big show. So there was two buy-in show matches. The Bad Boy Joey Janela with Sonny Kiss taking on, I can never say his name right, Serpentico. Yeah, and he had Luther come out as well. So, it's one of those things like at WrestleMania where you see just about every performer there in some form or another to make sure they get appearance checks. It's kind of the same thing with All Out. That's why they have 17, 8-man matches every year. So I want to get everybody a paycheck. Not a bad match. I actually enjoyed watching Joey Janela showing that freshly, cut forehead with a big bandage on it from Jericho. But your winners of the match, Joey Janela. So your thoughts on that first match?
It was a good way to kick off All Out. I mean, it's nice to see a little bit more edge to Joey Janela, I guess. We usually see him as a party boy, I guess. I'm going to say boy, but kind of.
He's the bad boy, so you can say
yeah, exactly. So bad boy, party boy. But I see a little edge to him, after getting the cut this past week on Dynamite. So good way to kick it off. I want to see some, I like the partnership between Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. So this was a nice way to bring them more together.
Private Party with Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy took on Dark Orders number 3 and number 4, which is Alex Reynolds and John Silver. They connect with the Gin and Juice. Private Party with a big win. And Private Party, folks, we sleep on them sometimes. A Private Party was in the first ever tag team title match when they were going to crown their first ever AEW tag team champions. They were in that match.
Right. And they got quite that push, even with the backing of Matt Hardy somewhat recently. So now that Matt's got his own thing going on,
we'll get to that too.
Yeah, yes, we will. It's nice. It's time for a Private Party. Really, they got that push. Let's see where it takes them. They got the win at the, the buy-in. So that's a good start so far.
Okay, so the big show starts off and is a tooth and nail match. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, taking on Big Swole. Now, if you watched Be the Booker with Shane, Dave, and Damian, this was said to be a cinematic match. What were your thoughts on this entire match and how it played out?
It had its comedy factors, which was nice. The whole thing with Rebel Reba, like that continues, and that's pretty much her name now. But I thought it was pretty funny how Big Swole had to check in at the desk and started tearing up the place. I mean, we knew that we were gonna see some dental tools being used, and this dental office get torn apart. I'm glad they went outside and we saw her wheelchair, the pedestal, and the dumpster.
Rolls Royce.
Yeah, thank you, Rolls Royce. And the dumpster, just everything that has led up to this tooth and nail match come to fruition, come to play. So, the drill was quite a that was a little bit of I didn't realize that kind of drill was used at a dental office, but nice to see that come to play.
That's from Little Shop of Horrors. That's the Steve Martin drill.
Ah, gotcha.
Where you got Bill Murray in there in the dentist office because he goes once a week.
But it was nice to good to see Big Swole getting on top of Baker with the Novocaine.
Yeah, it knocked her out.
Yeah, so she got her revenge. They did give her quite some hell this past week on Dynamite as well with the pizza.
Sure, yeah.
So good. I hope this does settle it though, just because I think both are talented ladies. I want to see them have some more in-ring action instead of these outside shenanigans. But cinematic match. Let's throw it into the pay-per-view and a good way to kind of squash this.
I didn't hate it. I thought it was entertaining, and yes. It was okay. I'm happy to see Britt Baker's back, and now she has to go to work. She has to show up on Wednesday and start wrestling. It's time to get to work. The next match was the Young Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, taking on Jurassic Express, which was Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus with Marco Stunt in a boot. Did I see him in a boot?
A boot?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not a Canadian boot, but I saw him in a foot boot, like a Dave Hero boot, a walking boot.
Mm-hmm.
So Young Bucks go after Marco Stunt and give him a super kick. So there's more edge to the Young Bucks. Here's what I thought was going to play out for the rest of the night. I'm like, ooh, they got more edge. I wonder if they're going to end up costing, Omega and Page the tag team championship by going after, Hangman Adam Page. Didn't play out, as we'll get to, but that's what I thought we were going to get. Is the Elites, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, possibly going to be a little heel, three-man team. Don't know. We'll have to see. But this was a typical Young Bucks and Jurassic Express match. Lots of super kicks, lots of waiting, lots of flipping, lots of flopping.
Yeah.
The winners, the Young Bucks. Your thoughts?
I mean, it was a nice high-flying match. I mean, it was
very high-flying.
What we expected between our high flyers in this match. But yeah, it was surprising to see them really, get the kick on Marco Stunt, and obviously him being in the cast or the boot, excuse me. But
boot. It's a boot.
Yeah. So I mean,
this is the Canadian podcast.
Yes. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't. I don't know. It was okay to me. I mean, it kind of set the precedence, I guess, to see, like you said, you were wondering if Young Bucks would interfere in the tag match at all later on. But I mean, it was a nice precursor into the next match, I guess.
Yep. So I'll tell you what, Matthew and we talked about this. I think it was Friday morning. I came to the conclusion that if a face won, good guy, folks, if a face won the 21-man Casino Battle Royal, that MJF would win the title match. If a heel won it, then Moxley was going to end up, retaining. So here's who was in the match. The first 4-pack or 5-pack. Was it 5-pack? Yeah. The first 5-pack was Trent, Christopher Daniels, Jake Hager, The Blade, and Ray Phoenix were the first 5. And then after that, we had Frankie Kaz, Will Hobbs, a new talent in AEW that I've never seen him before, Chuck Taylor from the Best Friends, and then Santana and Ortiz. And obviously, they've had a very heated rivalry. I didn't know that they were going to put this rivalry inside the Casino Battle Royal. I thought they'd get their own match.
Right, yeah. And them being in the same grouping too.
Yeah,
That's ironic.
The third 5-pack was Billy, Penta L0M, Absolute Ricky Starks, The Machine Brian Cage, and Darby Allin were out to the ring. The final group was Sean Spears, who walked over to the broadcast table to avoid entering the ring, Eddie Kingston, The Butcher, Concrete Rose, Sonny Kiss, and the Murder Hawk Monster, Lance Archer. Now, there was 4 5-packs and then 1 wild card. Matt Sydal drew the Joker card and was the 21st entrant. I told you right before we went on the air, I said, if that wasn't Matt Sydal that did that slip spot on the first move he was going to do, that talent would be buried. It'd be like, what was the Shocker or whatever that dude that wore the, Stormtrooper helmet that crushed through the paper in WCW. But it's Matt Sydal, so he'll get past that, no problem. But I audibly yell, "Oh!" when he slipped and fell on that top turnbuckle. Your thoughts of this entire match and how we got to the winner?
Well, first of all, that slip, I said, I mean, they were saying obviously like the humidity there, and obviously the guys already sweating it out in that match. Gosh, that's just so unfortunate because you knew there was going to be a great spot right there, and you were all anticipating it, and then, but. Because you just got to move on and keep going in the match. And, I thought it was a very entertaining match. I mean, it was great to see, like I said, like some of the tag teams come out, or the friends, the partnerships, the factions and whatnot, come out with their, this diamond spades, hearts, etc. But, it was time, for some stars to shine. And sorry, I got to bring up the whole body bag. I got to talk about that.
Come on,
that was interesting. It was quite a distraction, and it's something I didn't expect to see in a battle royal match, just because it just takes from everything else. But I mean, obviously, Darby Allin, has his feud with Brian Cage and
Absolute Ricky Starks.
Yeah, so that was a little insane, though. There's no way of that being trickery. Obviously he was in the bag and obviously left with some thumbtacks in him, but obviously like they still have a big feud going on, so that will continue. But outside of that, Lance Archer, though, I like him. He's really, really growing on me, and a big guy that you expect to have been potentially one of the winners, and there we are.
Yep. And Lance, we kind of teased it earlier when I said I wasn't going to tell you during this text, back and forth we had. That's who I was going to get. And unfortunately for me, that would have been, 150 points minimum, because it would have been a double, Money in the Bank type win. However, I didn't get it because you decided to go for it, and I'm more than happy for you. But that's actually who I had. So the only thing is that we also, in our PWR draft, we have cash-in points. They have to be on pay-per-view. And I don't see Lance Archer's heavyweight championship match against Moxley going to be on pay-per-view. I don't think they're waiting to November to have that match. That's going to happen on TV. So now I don't care if I have him or not. So
yeah, that's a really good point.
And, again, Matthew and I, we talked about it, and a little side text conversation back and forth. The next pay-per-view is in November with MJF. And he's going to continue to campaign. We foreshadow to the main event. Let's talk about the Broken Rules match. It was the last man standing rules, and if Matt Hardy lost, he had to leave AEW. So Matt Hardy took on the Spanish God, Sammy Guevara. We need to talk concussion protocol, and we need to talk how this match went on after that spot. Per the reports, per Tony Khan, per the doctor that was on site, Matt Hardy was cleared to go back on. Matt Hardy, the last check, is still in the hospital. Folks, we've learned a lot about CTE, and especially since Benoit, especially since Christopher Nowinski, the Harvard, or whatever his nickname was, Chris Harvard. I don't like to see it, but again, they said, the doctor there said that he was cleared. And you had other reports as well, Linda?
Yeah, I just saw the day after All Out, that Tony Khan was saying that Matt has been cleared of any concussion, like from at the hospital. He had a CT scan, MRI, and that he actually did not have a concussion. Obviously, that was a big scare. Obviously, Rebby Sky, Matt's wife, was tweeting out about how, this is obviously concussion, and anybody could see that, and just, expressing her thoughts and her anger about them still letting Matt continue in the match.
Yep.
But apparently Tony Khan said he did not have a concussion. I mean, after all the tests that came through, from the testing that took place yesterday, the day after. But he also said Matt's going to be at Dynamite Wednesday. Obviously not wrestling. I would hope not, but he said that he would be there. So, just kind of placing everything in a positive light. But during All Out, when they were saying, it was definitely really scary. They obviously said Matt cannot continue, and given this being a match that was supposed to be won with a stipulation, obviously that Matt, if he didn't win, it was gonna have to leave AEW.
Right.
And it's crazy that they had that time kind of pass through when they were saying we this match can't continue. It was pretty quiet, and you have you have JR, Tony Schiavone, and Excalibur just discussing, what pro wrestlers, what can happen. Obviously, perhaps, or you don't know what could go on, and the risks. But then it sounded like they were about to announce Matt, being or announce whatever was going to be the decision of the match, and all of a sudden
Matt attack Sammy coming out of the door. Yeah.
So apparently, talked to the doc. I guess he checked Matt out quickly, cleared, or Matt said that he could continue, but obviously this match was cut short, and they must have discussed, let's just get to the end spot,
let's get to the finish.
Yeah, which they got to, and they said that Sammy was also in the hospital, obviously not quite as, I guess, serious or scary, as Matt, but the gaze in his eyes is definitely like, ooh.
Like I said, we know so much more now, and I hope they protect. I mean, I don't like it, honestly, and I'm not a fan of it. I think they could have used better discretion. They could have said, look, we had a serious injury. Yes, this is wrestling, but we're going to go ahead and take care of Matt Hardy, the man, first. That's my thoughts. They had to make a snap judgment call. I mean, things happen. This isn't, I mean, not to invoke the name Owen Hart, but I mean, they carried on a pay-per-view that night. This was just a match where a guy got concussed. You could have stopped the damn match and moved on to another match. You would have been fine. Yeah,
I mean, JR did mention to Tony, he's like, he's a father, and I'm sure
JR was there for the Owen Hart as well.
That's what I was just saying. Yeah, that's what I was just about to get at. So,
all right.
No, but I'm just thinking like, ugh, but obviously he came back out, and they must have quickly just said, hey, let's get to that finish, and they did, and. Yeah, so obviously Matt Hardy still came out on top, and
let's take a look at Dynamite on Wednesday night and see how Matt Hardy looks and speaks and feels, and we'll get there. AEW Women's World Champ Shida took on NWA World Champion Thunder Rosa. I did not see anything happening to Shida's title. There's no way an NWA champion should be coming in and pinning the AEW champion in AEW. Shouldn't happen. But it was good showing for both.
Yeah, they put in a great match, but I was a little surprised at that too. That, I mean, having that, it's great to see Thunder Rosa, the NWA champion, come in and have her show off her skills. There's not as much going on, in NWA right now, but like putting this title match, or AEW's title on the line.
Yeah,
I don't know, but it would have been a little bit shocking if they would have had her win, but it was a great showing, and
that's two shocker references tonight, by the way.
Yeah,
great job.
Yeah, a lot. But anywho, I love Karu Shida. I think she's a great, strong champion, and every match, I think she brings it on, and
I think so. I think she looks great. So if NWA ends up going away, I mean, I don't know if they want to talk to Billy Corgan and see if that belt can come over. Yeah. Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford were backstage with Alex Marvez announcing that they're getting married. They're going to find a best man. You're going to find out about it on Dynamite. That's really all we got to talk about on that one. 8-man grudge match. You got appearance points as well for Mr. Brody Lee. No title defense, but appearance. It was an 8-man tag. It was Brody Lee, Stu Grayson, Evil Uno, and Cole Cabana. Boom, boom. Taking on the Natural Nightmares, Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall. Brandy Rhodes and Allie were along, the Nightmare Sisters, and Matt Cardona and Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky is part of SCU, but how come he is not with SCU?
He's helped out the Nightmare family leading up to All Out. So, I mean, just like in the promos, I said they're not brothers by blood, but I don't know, maybe I'm not aware of some history between Scorpio Sky and the Rhodes family that kind of brought him into this, but yeah. But great to see Dustin Rhodes just
Yeah.
still doing his thing.
I was going to say, yeah, and let's segue right into that. So Shivani was backstage with Dustin Rhodes and said he just received word. Tony Khan said, you know what? You got a TNT title shot against Mr. Brody Lee. Now, I don't believe Dustin's winning that match. I believe Mr. Brody Lee is going to end up winning it, and something may happen to Dustin. But so what? Dustin Rhodes is out there still working and showing it off. I mean, at, whatever amount of years he's been in the business. I don't know. I know that he's been around forever.
They were around 32 years in the business.
And I'm happy to see him every time he's there.
Definitely. Okay, and a friend of the PWR show.
Oh, absolutely. So that's
always great.
A match that kind of broke my heart, but I knew it was coming. The AEW World Tag Team Championship match. The champions, Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega, taking on the number 1 ranked team, FTR, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood, known as For the Revolution, F the Rest, whatever they call them. They're called FTR. And this was an amazingly long match, and I really loved this. This was solid tag team wrestling. Unfortunately, Kenny hit Adam Page, and your winners and new champions, FTR.
Yeah. This definitely, it is true. I mean, FTR when they were in WWE, didn't really get that much time to shine and really show what they could do. So honestly, I didn't really know too much about them. I didn't really know their background too much, but here, them getting the spotlight and really showing what they can do, them being called the best tag team ever, or at least one of the best, definitely in my eyes as well. This match was tremendous. I'm a big fan of Hangman Adam Page and Kenny Omega, but I too figured that FTR
team is done.
Yeah. I did figure, especially with the shenanigans leading up to this, but
there was no Young Bucks interference, which I thought might come because remember, Hangman Adam Page cost the Young Bucks from being in that title match.
Yes.
So Kenny Omega damn near swung a table. It was like a folding table or something at Hangman Adam Page, dropped it left, went out to the back. They followed him all the way out to the car. The Young Bucks left him to the side, and Kenny Omega left. I think there's a heel thing for him. And to be honest, Kenny Omega needs it because we talk about this on this very program here, Monday through Friday, with Damian, with yourself, with Dave, with Matthew. We know that Kenny Omega has been this international star for all these years. We know the Young Bucks are these international stars, but they're not showing us anything. Since they've come to AEW, why? Why should I be into them? We know what they've done before, but this American audience hasn't seen it yet. I think there's something needed for Kenny Omega.
Yeah, I mean, obviously as a singles competitor, he's dominated internationally. So having Kenny be a solo competitor as well as Adam Page, I think would be great. I mean, you got to figure they're going to have a match against each other soon, but they were great as a tag team, but I think better as solo competitors. So we'll see what happens with Kenny, but him leaving the way he did, a bit shocking. Obviously, the collapse of the Elite right now. Cody gone, so they need a little rebuilding, if you will.
Maybe. So let's talk about your very strategic move. You got it in. You have Orange Cassidy. This is their third match, the rubber match between Jericho and Cassidy. You got them in before the deadline, so you get whatever points happen for Orange Cassidy, be it positive or negative. I was mocking the 80 gallons. They had 2 different pools on each side of the ring. That probably was 80 gallons. It was probably 40 gallons each, honestly. That could have been 80 gallons of whatever water it was that they colored to look like orange mimosa. I mean, I thought the execution was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Orange Cassidy real early ends up dipping his head in it and was a close spot. I really love this match and so happy to see Orange Cassidy get the victory.
Yes. Just having the utensils and glassware outside the ring added to the match as well. I mean, at one point, Orange Cassidy grabbed the big, I don't know if it was a pitcher or just a big glass and utilized that in the match. But their storytelling, tremendous. It's great to see best of 3 with 2 competitors that just mesh so well together.
How far back do you think they really worked on this? Because, I mean, Jericho, started a little bit of the bubbly. Yeah. He started that, 6 months, 9 months ago. Did he know he was going to work towards Orange Cassidy at that point? When did this come together? I mean, I love the execution of this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll find out, one day when they do a post All Out special.
On the AEW network.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But the way the match played out, and they had a lot of close calls, and at the very end, we had one. I almost said Superman, but Orange Punch. That didn't quite take Jericho Le Champion down into the pool of mimosa quite yet, but one more. Or I loved how Orange Cassidy tore off his elbow pad and did one more punch. Boom! Yeah. What a graceful fall into a pool.
A mimosa.
A little bit of bubbly. And
a little bit of the bubbly, a little bit of the orange.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
I popped. That was great. It was hilarious.
I'm just very pleased with the way it all played out. Even if Orange wouldn't have won, I was pleased with the absolute execution. Jericho is the first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's been that's been the wrestler that since I got back into wrestling after that little gap in the mid-90s, that has been my guy, and I'm so happy to see him. Here we are in 2020. He is still knocking it out of the park. All right, main event time. The paradigm shift is banned per a written contract. I love the psychology in the match because he went to it 2 to 3 times at least through the match and said, whoa. The referee said, hey, I'm watching you. You do that move, you lose the belt. Mm-hmm. It's Jon Moxley taking on the number 1 ranked MJF, who has not lost in 2020. And he just hasn't lost. He's been undefeated. I thought this was absolute perfect storytelling by them as well. And again, the election, Full Gear coming up in November. The loss here, because Moxley retains, by the way, the loss here by MJF, I don't think this ends it for him. I think Moxley gets Lance Archer out of the way and then goes back at Full Gear and probably takes on MJF, and really do see MJF winning at Full Gear.
That would definitely make sense. Yeah, I enjoyed this match. The whole paradigm shift teasing, the whole shoulder. I don't know if it really is a major injury or if that was just part of the way to tease the paradigm shift from Moxley, but everything looked great. I think everything, they sold everything well. And then, MJF with a little blood there, and then Moxley getting it on his face, biting it, gosh, it just really showed how far they would go, because as they've been saying leading up to this match, MJF, you just never seen this side of him. And yeah, he really gave it all. Moxley, the psychology, as you mentioned, and his love of the violence in the ring, and it all played off really well. They definitely played off each other really well, and I wasn't really sure where it was going to go at the end of this, but it was funny to I even didn't think about Wardlow somehow coming into play, and obviously that had a lot to do with the finish.
Threw in the ring, missed the ring. Referee distracted. Paradigm shift when ref wasn't looking. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Good facial reaction by Wardlow. Oh, yeah. Man.
He's going to have to answer it, MJF.
Have to answer. So speaking of answering, everybody in the PWR draft has to answer to me when it comes to points. And we might have talked about it in the beginning, but let's talk about it now. The PWR draft has gotten a lot tighter due to the very slick move by Linda Kay. There's not a big gap anymore between everybody. I also only scored 10 points at AEW, and that's because it was doubled, folks. I lost the titles. That's the points I scored. Now, the top, still myself, 1,350 points. David Hero, 1,330 points. He is only 20 points behind me for first place. Damian Nelson ties the season high with 380 points from AEW's All Out, and now is at 1,155 points. We got serious action here. Even Drew Baydala coming through and scoring 280 points as well. And then finally, Linda, you scored 295. It would have been more, but you took the minus 25 for dropping Big E. The new totals, again, 1,350 myself, 1,330 Dave Hero, 1,155 Damian Nelson, 960 Drew Baydala. Linda, even though you are in absolute still in last, you're at 900. You're in the game now. You're ready to play.
Time to play the game.
And we are about a third of the way through the season. I love action. I don't want it to be just the same thing over and over every week. I want to see action. So, wow, it's been a long one. This is way more than 20 minutes, Linda, but we had business. We didn't even talk Raw tonight. Drew McIntyre will be back on the program as well to talk about what Randy did to him. And Drew McIntyre has been talking to Tyson Fury over and over. They've been running their mouth at each other. So make sure you tune in to Raw tonight. David Hero tomorrow morning. Wow, Linda Kay, welcome back. For Linda Kay, I'm the man they call Meathead. Hey, thanks for stopping by. So long, everyone.